All right, let's get going here. Decent people actually out there. Oh, 5 people. 2 people already said they like it. That's good. Now, if we can get 3 people to say they like it, then I'll get started. All right, first thing is to show off my head. In case you haven't seen my head for a while, there it is. And let's see, we'll get that all set up. It says standby. That can't be right. Oh well. I'm ready. I hope all of you are ready for a fun day of painting. I've been painting all weekend, working on a portrait of Robert Rackelman. Quite an interesting guy. He's an artist, and well, that's his painting there in the background. I finished and I'm working on another one because he's really interesting. That's the reason. So if you have any questions, put them up there on the board. If I don't get any questions, I'll probably take the mic off a little bit later. And it means that you would just like to sit back, relax, and watch somebody else do some painting. I hope you can see Emma Downing and Emma Lou. She's quite a lady. Quite beautiful. The hat she has, oh man, I'm not sure yet how I'm going to approach the hat yet. But I gave myself plenty of options. You notice I sketched in every one of those little circles. I'm either going to go, I feel like the hat, since it is a series on hats, on this particular hat, if you just put a big blob or a space or a representational, there's a pretty good chance that's not going to look right. So I'll know when I get there. I'll get after it. I've been applying some different techniques to my painting recently, particularly if you have seen on the painting I did of Robert. It represents a few little minor changes I made. Okay, all right. Now, first thing is I've studied this, and there are a number of things I'm looking for. One is that there's a lot of contrast in this particular photo, which I really like. And the contrast comes because of the way the light hits the cheeks here. So I want to make sure I protect that. And the way it hits her nose, and then this area here, which really accentuates the shadows that are coming through this piece of cloth on her hat. And well, I don't think we could have possibly have found a tougher hat to paint. If I said, get the toughest possible paint hat you can get, that's the one she would have picked. So that's it. So, but I like a challenge. You guys know that. I think my mic is on, but I'll just keep talking like it is. I'm not even going to check. And if you want to do any hellos or anything, just go ahead and put her on there. I'll answer by voice. This first thing I'm doing is I'm just putting a background layer on the face. If nothing else, it just kind of gets the paper ready. It gives me that first color. The highest color that I'll have anywhere on the face will be right here. Except I'm debating right now as to how light I'm going to make the nose. And actually, I'm going to leave it pretty light for now. That way, if there's a couple of really lights. There's a really light spot. It's got an X on it. There's a very light spot there. and then back here it's very light. See that spot right there? And I don't go over the glasses only because um, I try to leave that open. There's a couple of white spots, and that's a couple of things I'm doing a little different with people with glasses, in that um, I'm painting them a little bit different. You'll see today. When I get there, I'll tell you what I've discovered or what I've kind of approached that I use on glasses now. Now, some of you are seasoned and senior watercolor painters already know all that. Did your calligraphy help in the detail? Oh, good question. Yes, I do a lot of calligraphy. Um, Used to do a lot of calligraphy. Uh, I don't know how it helps in detail though, since it's not really calligraphy. So I don't know what you mean, Don. What do you mean by that? Oh, this is fun. Hope all of you are having as much fun as I do. And if you're thinking about ever taking up watercolor painting, um, it is a challenge. It's not something you just learn overnight, but a lot of fun if you like this. Now, for some people, this would just drive you crazy probably, because it's not a very forgiving medium. You see, I sometimes can wipe it off if I get it on there, but once it's on there, it's probably a pretty good chance it's going to leave a stain on the paper, and I'll probably never get it really back to true white if that's what I wanted. Okay, so anyway, I've kind of given myself a chance to get this right. Today I'm going to focus on just trying to get the face finished, and I usually start on the face, particularly this time because I'm not sure yet how I'm going to handle this. See this area over here? And this is a scarf that comes out from the hat, and it's netting. And it's got little diamond sparkly things all in there. They look like polka dots, but actually they're little kind of like pieces of diamond or glass. Very interesting. And you can see the shadows on her neck caused by the different layers of the scarf hitting her neck. So that's going to be kind of fun when I get to that. I'm going to take a look at my reference photo here real quick. And also I'm going to try to, if I can, stay out of your way, keep my head out of the way of your viewing. And that's okay. I printed one that what I do is sometimes I print one real light. It helps me define, if I don't see the detail, of where the pupil stops and starts. Oh, skin tone, good question. I am using, question of the day goes to Judy Gates. Skin tone I'm using is, I used orange, transparent orange, and I used a dab of quintessendum, I think it's how I pronounce it, basically magenta. And this magenta has a slight blue, so when you mix it with the orange, you get a slight, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like adding just a touch of blue to it. So it gives you kind of the perfect base color to put on. I've tried different ways. You can always shade it down if you get too bright or too colorful. You can always do that, but it's very hard to get it the other way where you want to brighten it up. So those are the colors I'm using, and my uh, palette is on my website. It's got all the colors listed for you. ronaldmullen.com. Just go to the YouTube divider, and at the bottom you can download a PDF as the color, also the paints and the paper I use. Um, so I use hot press pretty much on the larger portraits, and if I want to loosen it up, and right now I just started painting another one on, I'll show you just real quick, of Robert. This is the one I started. Uh, this is Robert. Uh-oh. Looks like I might have disconnected. Sorry, guys. I might connect it back up. Oh, there we go. Anyway, that's Robert, and it's of him playing guitar. I don't know if you can see it close, but I'll try to do that. But you can see it's all the hair and the glasses quite a bit looser. Not there isn't. It looks like a lot of detail, but it's quite loose and not. The edges aren't quite as sharp, and it's just a little different technique I'm trying with him. I've done before, and it's a technique that I kind of stick with. When you're doing work that's people for commission, things like that, very rare do they want something that's impressionistic, or they want it a little bit closer to. They'll love it at first, and all of a sudden they get out, like they get out their magnifying glass, and it's as if yeah, I like it, but now that I look at it, he doesn't look like her or him. I mean, look at the pimple there, or that mole is missing. That's okay. That's a prerogative. I always encourage them to go buy a nice photograph, have it enlarged, to go to someone that does that. Okay, I just missed a little spot there, and behind the glasses. So I'm going to start. And all the flesh tones I'll be using will be combinations of this row right along here. And when I get to the darker, I'll add maybe a touch of the burnt sienna and maybe a touch of the blue. Now it's kind of interesting, the Antwerp blue, when you add it in, gives it just a little different tone to it. And I've done that a few times, and I kind of like it. But you got to watch that Antwerp blue, because it'll take off and take over. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to put, there's the go-to, or the basic red, Ozillion, and then I put a little of that transparent orange in there. So it looks very orangey. All I have to do is add a little bit of this magenta, and I might just add a touch of that blue here. You notice every time you touch it, you get too much. That's just enough right there. I don't know if you notice that's gotten darker. And the way I do this is I just continue to build up layers over top. And so I'm here looking at her photograph, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint only the shadows in this darker color. This color is all going to be, I'm just going to go pick up all the shadows and paint those now. So here I go. So that's way too dark. Way too dark. It'll bit that dark later, but not for my first coat. I don't know where I was on that. But anyway, but we add a little water to it, and you see how it lightens it up. So that's pretty much where the shadows fall on her. It's caused. The light source is coming from the back this direction. And why I like to put the shadows, it gives me a sense of immediately the values that I'm going to be looking for and sticking with. And if you layer your values one on top of the other, you have a better chance of controlling them. I used to come along and just, like there, I start off with a real dark. And I'm also going to mix this background just a little bit, give it some interesting, you notice I put just a touch of that blue I had. And it's not dark, but it just kind of gives it a little more depth that I'll be able to come back in and use later. I can already begin to kind of think about the contours of the shape. That actually turned out pretty good by starting off dark and going light. That's already close to dry. And then she has some other spots here. Of course, a little spot there on her cheek that it gets dark. I'm looking for the cast shadows first. Cast shadows are very sharp. They often have just a very edge line to them. Now, if they go over something that's rounded, then they soften up a little bit. But I'm just going to pick up this little shadow that comes across here on her lip. And I really enjoy doing this only because in just the shadows alone begin to make it look real. Now I'm going back, I don't know if you notice what I'm doing with my brush. I get too much paint, I just take it out and mix some of the paint I already have on here, and I mix it over this, put it over right over here. So I'm kind of diluting this, so I don't want to go too strong with that. Anyway, that's the shape. So I really look for those shapes I'm looking to copy. And there's another shape right in here that's interesting, which defines the lip on the outer side of that lip. Without that, that lip would not be as interesting. And yes, lips can be interesting. Some of you who are watching are watercolor artists, and we have some that are watching that are just interested in what I'm up to, because you might be related to Irma. Again, she was just so much fun to photograph. So I'm getting in some of these darker areas. I can paint fast and I can paint slow. I don't really think about it, but if I have to. I finished one over the weekend of Cynthia Downing. Came out really nice. So Cynthia, if you're on today watching, your painting is done. Matter of fact, I got your print ready for you. All the hat ladies who took the time to do this, I give them a nice enlarged print. Okay, see how that's starting to look like something without even trying? Then, okay, I got a couple more shadows I'm going to get. Then I'll just go to the next level of shadows. What that means is it's the next layer that gets it, and when it goes over top of the existing one, this kind of stays, this color back here kind on their face stays that color. I'm not going to try to make it look like clear glasses. That would be a mistake. There's so much reflection going on in this that's hitting and bouncing back and forth that affect the colors. So I really kind of watching for that. Yeah, yeah, I can see her. Can you guys see her? Yeah, that's her there. That's a little bit of a. I'm gonna go ahead and give that shape here, define it. I'll come back later. This dark area inside her lips will be a whole lot darker than that. And none of the ladies like for me to put the wrinkles in, but I just feel obligated to put a couple in. I think it adds character. And I always kid them about it, you know, for a small amount, I'll take them out. I'm just kidding, though. Usually when I say that, I think I'm kidding. Yep. Okay. Now, if you're asking where these little blue dots came, this is it was sitting near where I was painting yesterday. I got a little overzealous with my painting and started flying. I didn't even notice that it happened. While that's drying, I'm going to work on a little bit of that hair, because it always comes into play when you're doing the face. The hair is quite a bit gray, and the tone of that hair does not have a lot of blue to it. Sometimes you see it have a touch of blue. This is pretty much either black, white, or gray, and maybe just, I would say, a touch. If I were to say a color, it might move toward the ivory. So I'm using burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And I just want to, again, see if I could find some of those dark spots that are going to come into play around her head, her face there. And I'm just giving it just a touch of orange because there's always a little bit of, right along this face, just a little bit of the skin shows through. And stepping back from it, it will look color-wise a little bit like. And this is just a very light coat I'm putting on here. And like dark down in here, and this will help me later find my place, because I get so wound up I kind of forget where I am sometimes. So there's kind of a dark area here, kind of like, and I don't always paint the hair exactly as I see the painting. I kind of sometimes paint if I think it needs a different shape. Sometimes the shape of the painting that I end up with is different because I don't like where maybe the photograph captured it. And if I stay true to the photograph, then I lose, again, I get in trouble. So anyway, I'm finding some of those spots I want to keep. And that's just the light background for those glasses. Yeah. These glasses are clear. which means that her glasses are going to take on a little bit of the color of her face. I can change that, but I don't think I will. So I have put just a touch of that peach, I'll call it peach color in there. And I don't know if you could tell it, but that's not a gray, but that gray's got a little bit. So I kind of like what's happening here. I can starting to feel the contour, the shapes coming together. And all of these shapes really do help me. I don't do that just because I'm in the mood. They're actually because they help me as far as a reference. I think, that's close to okay, and then so I'm looking at when one color is next to another. That's one way to show the shape, and then the density, how dark those colors are, or how much water's in them, will show a difference in the shape too. So I'm going to kind of let that bleed down through there a little bit, and I'm just going to carry that over. And I'm going to use a little bit of gradation right here. I'll show you what I mean, the little gradation. So I clean out my brush, and I want that to soften up. So I soften it up here. You see me softening them up? Am I getting soft? Okay, good. I find this is the kind of the most fascinating part of people who watch of how you can use this brush and soften up edges, and what a difference it makes of how you can use that softening to give the contour. And I left that just a little bit white along that edge to really emphasize the edge there. Don't know if I'll leave it, but for right now I'm going to leave that. So I'm going to be putting layers on her nose, and the lightest, which is right here, will not receive any more layers. Because if I had any more layers there, you know what happens. It's darker. And that's what gives it that look that it's dimensional. And the colors I'm using are still pretty neutral. And a little bit, there's a lot of people who say that they use more of the yellow toward the top of the head, and as they move down, they move more toward a rose or a red color. And then back to the neck, to the yellowish or brownish color. And I always say, you know what, if that works for you, you just go right ahead. And I'm going to go ahead and put this piece in. This one has a little more orange in it. And when I get too much paint in my brush, I just dab it on the towel. And the whole battle of what you're painting is just continually controlling how much paint you're putting down and how thick it is on watercolor. So this will turn, as soon as I go over this, I've already painted it. This little area right here becomes darker immediately because it's the second layer. And down here becomes darker because it's the second layer. And then I want to, this is where this piece goes like that. And I'll come back and I'll soften up that a little bit, just a little bit, that edge. and you don't have to do it all over, but just sometimes I'll just take a couple of those areas, because if you leave it straight all the way through, then it doesn't look. Okay, you can already begin to see, and by the way, this is the way we're, we're, we're programmed in our heads, is that we're always trying to look for something that we recognize. And so in watercolor painting, you don't have to do a whole lot to get people to see. Sometimes it's only a suggestion of something, just a little twinkle or a mark, and it will make you really think um, it's a shape. It's not really there. It's just maybe a slight suggestion. For those of you who wonder if I talk too much, yeah, I do. I can talk to myself when I'm painting, so just so you know that. I'm going to soften that up a little bit there. Take advantage of having that little light color in my brush. And go ahead and put that little shape in there, which will make this shape a little bit darker. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Anyway, I don't know if you can tell, I'm starting to look like something. We're not careful. I'm going to run down here and work a little bit on the lips. She does not have a lot of lipstick, and I'm using this color here is pretty strong. It's Opera Rose. Now, what's cool about it, or not cool, I don't know, depends on your perception, is that it looks really, really strong there when you're there. But when it dries, it does not dry that strong. So take your time when you're doing the mouth, and I am, just so I can make sure I get it close to right. It's going to be very light on this side of her lips, because just the slightest angle you get wrong will change the smile or even the look. But you can see how by picking up this shape, how there we go. You're making it look a little rounded already. I'm going to go back down, and then I cleaned out my brush. It just has a very little bit in there. I don't want a whole lot to finish this out. There's a curve right there. I want to make sure I get. If I don't get that curve, oh, that works pretty good. Yep, that's kind of that's pretty close to what I envisioned it. Her lips would look like. And then down here, we'll go ahead and get this line taken care of. Make sure that I note that there is a light reflection, and then there's also a deep shadow that goes across her lip. I don't know if you can see that deep shadow right there. So, and also there's a little light spot where the light catches the middle part of her lip. I'm not real sure yet how dark I'm going to make the overall painting, but I'll know here shortly, in case you're wondering. Going to leave that about like that and about like that. That's kind of what I see in there. And let's see, I think, I think we'll leave it about like that. And some of the next layers I put in here, I'll add some texture. because lips are not flat. They bend a lot, and some of us really spend a lot of time bending our lips, moving them, and they're very flexible. And so they're kind of like wrinkly. So I'll always put a couple of suggestions in there that there's a magenta. I love magenta. I want to get a little more color in here. Now's the time. I might just go ahead and do that. And that's not a solid color. So I'll use kind of the side of my brush just to kind of ease that in a little bit. That works, yeah. And lightens up here. And if you notice, I just tapped there a little bit and left a few little lines and some more. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see it up close, but there's like those little lines right there, but because the way I kind of jiggle my brush. Now that's some advanced stuff there that I hope all of you are taking heart. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and put another layer in here because it's pretty dark in there. So what do you think so far? It's starting to take shape, isn't it? Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you for saying that, whoever said that. And I'm going to run down. While I've got this color out, I'm going to put a layer down here on her neck. Not a real thick one, but I'm just going to use it while I have it because I'm going to go ahead and leave some of those lines, even though you won't see many of those later. It's just enough to make a suggestion that they're shadows that are caused by the scarf. I don't know. Does anybody know the name of what that thing is? It's a scarf that's stuck to the hat. Kind of reminds me of the Shriners. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but don't they have something like that? If you're Irma, don't get mad at me. I didn't mean it. So here's the other reason I do this is, again, it accentuates the shape. Always making sure I get these shapes right. And the jewelry, I'll have a little bit of detail, but not a lot. So there's another cast shadow caused from her cheeks. It comes right across here, and then the jewelry itself causes a shadow. Anyway, if I finish now, I like it. I like it so far. If I say so myself. Okay, we're going to go with another layer here. And I'm going to pick up any. It gets pretty much all of it. So you can see it went darker right away. Well, some of you say, well, Ron, why don't you just go ahead and paint the dark color right on there? And there's a reason why. Because you can do that in acrylic paint. And if that's what I wanted to do, I'd get acrylic paints out. But what I'm wanting to do is to build up these layers of transparency. And you can't always see this up front one thing about watercolors that I've noticed that when you take a picture, it doesn't always pick up. I got a little bit over on the outside here. I just want to touch that up a little bit. Pictures don't really capture the watercolors very well, the digitals. So I'm entering shows that have digital entries, and now if it's a show that has all watercolors, I'm okay, but because it, you know, normalized, everybody has the same problem. But shows that competing with acrylics, the paintings doesn't always show what the full capability is, because they look different. I know when I send these out for people to look at, like portraits, I've gotten to where I'd rather they come and look at it live. I'm going to go outside a little bit. It will give me that next layer out here. There it is. Got it. And there's another layer up here. In just a little bit, you're going to see some of this really start coming to life now. Those of you who are waiting for that. This orange here, I use it. It's I put it in there. It's Windsor orange. I love the color itself, except it's a little bit opaque. So it doesn't have quite the transparency that that I'm looking for. So sometimes I'm kind of careful where I use it. And this would definitely be a place I'm going to be careful. And I'm trying to show some contour here. So I softened up those edges a little bit. And I'm using a larger brush because the larger brush helps soften some of those edges. So I'm just reading right off of the picture what I see. And what's a little different in watercolor painting is you gotta be careful that you don't start making up stuff that you don't see, because it'll catch up to you. So you can see I'm beginning to define some of those lines in her cheeks, the contours, and I think it's showing up on the camera pretty well. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Nice soft brush. Let the brush do my work for me, because I'm lazy. Yep, okay. I'm going to forget the side there. Put that in there while I remember it. And that nose, you probably think it looks a little bit orange, and it really does the way I see it, but my layers will have a little bit of this opera rose in it, which will give it a little bit of pink. Yeah, I'm using a very thick brush right now just because I don't want to get into any details. And I did cover this little spot with that opera rose, and I'm going to cover that spot that's white down there with opera rose. And I think that's just about all I want to do to it. So you can see just by these layers, it's beginning to take shape. And there's a lot of red in her cheeks. I don't know if you can see it, but I read a lot of pink. I don't think she's wearing rouge or something like that, but it just looks to me like um, very orangey. So I hope all of you are having fun today. And I hope those of you who paint are getting out and getting some painting done. I used to, in watching people paint online, um, I call it the Tiger Wood effect. And I'm not saying I'm that way, but some of these people make it look so easy. I think, oh man, I can do that. But just, so I get maybe buy the different brush or something I think it might be, and then when I go to try it, it's not quite as easy as the artist made it look. And that's because we all have our little own techniques that we use, which a lot of times you don't even see. Put just a touch of blue in here. And I'm going to be moving this over to a violet color, this little area here, over time. But I don't want to do that right away because there are some layers in there I want to pick up. Very subtle, but hopefully you can see those. Here I'm putting just a little, it's got a little more blue in it, and I'm going to get this started, this color, this cast shadow that comes right across here. Put a little bit of that. I see that shape in there. Now's a good time to kind of think about accentuating some shapes. This would be the time to start thinking about that. And I'm thinking about it. Yep. I'm thinking really hard about it. That's what I wanted to do. This here got too dark right here. See that spot right there? So I'm going to lift a little bit of that out. Not really sure what I was thinking, but that's an example of maybe talking too much while I'm painting. And plus, I want to really suggest there's some roundness to that. Okay, that's a little better. That'll work. That'll work for me. So see how I lifted that up a little bit. And it does not take a whole lot in the eyes, particularly those with glasses. You can't see much detail. Really, a lot of times it's harder to get it to look right because it's only just some very subtle shapes that you put in there for the eyes. Now, if you're full sun, you can see all the eyes. It's really easier because you got a nice reference point. But in this case, you don't. So I see kind of maybe this happening. And I'm going to keep it light in case it doesn't work for me. So what I'm saying is sometimes you just have to kind of try things. For those of you who thought there's a formula or something, and that's probably just enough. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of that gray I got left here. Just enough. I'm going to start feeling my way around where I think that pupil is, not the iris, just the pupil itself. Keep it light. I can always get darker. Remember that. You can always go darker. I think it kind of comes around almost like that. Something like that. I think that's kind of the way her eye. I'm gonna get out the print of her. I'm gonna go ahead and put the other pupil in too. I think I'm trying to find my way here. So that looks like that would be now her glasses. It looks like her right eye is a little bit slightly higher. It looks like it might be. Boy, I wish I paid a little closer attention here. That looks like about right here to me. Let's see. And sometimes all it takes is just where that iris finishes enough to make that suggestion. Yeah, I'll just show you what happens if I just put a suggestion of an iris in there. That's looking at you. Okay. Anyway, I think it'll work. I just got to be careful that if I start selecting and going with detail now, I'm going to commit myself to have to do that. I think that eyeball goes on up there. Huh. Sure enough, I think it does. Yep. I think we got her. Thanks for all your help there. All your support was greatly appreciated. And it just needs to be slightly rounded. For those of you who like to draw a round circle to represent, you never see the whole eye, very seldom, unless they're bug-eyed. And then the approach I take for the glasses is I like to use a lot of different colors to make it look interesting, because glasses often aren't very interesting. I have a pair. What's the name of the guy, the weatherman who wears all those colorful glasses? Well, anyway. So it kind of goes like that. And I'm going to put some various colors in here. And I want to just make it interesting. When I'm done with this, you really won't notice that. But I see a little bit of blues and purples in there that I kind of like. And I'm trying to just find my place right now. And not get in a big hurry, because I don't want to have to keep redoing this over and over again. So I went from kind of a purple, it goes from a purple into a blue. Then I'm going to go over to brown a little bit. Got brown. I'm going to put just a touch of burnt umber in there to really deaden or dull that color down. There it goes. It went down just enough. And then I'm just going to continue. While this is a little bit wet, let it run a little bit. There it goes. And this is part of our shadow here. Go back to a little bit of, see a little bit of red there. But your eyes really help make this come alive. Your eyes are wanting to help me, and they'll fill in any gaps. Sometimes I won't even fill in. I'm going to do this on purpose, but I'm not going to put the whole glasses in. I'm going to leave a spot open. I use a little purple color there. And I'm going to pick up just a little suggestion of what the skin color may look like here and there. There it is. Yeah, that's working. That's working for me. Hope it's working for you. And this will be a shadow here. So I'm going to leave that little white spot there like that in our glasses. This is the shadow. And where it's rounded, it's soft. And where it's not rounded, it goes pretty sharp. So it's rounded up here, so I've got to soften this up just a little bit. Right there, it needs to soften up a little bit. And on the bridge, it's going to soften up. Soften it up a little bit there. Then we can go hard again. Piece of cake, huh? Thank you. Got more people coming in. Yep. Come on in. So anyway, it's I don't know if you notice the difference in colors here. I like that. I'll put it a little closer. I don't know if you can see that. But look at the glasses. I just changed up those colors. Just don't stick, go black across there and make it all black. That would be interesting. Got a little brown here I'm going to use. Now some of this will be skin tone because the glasses are clear. The frames. Yeah, I see the frames are clear. So we're going to lighten that up a little bit. Got a little too dark, but that's okay. That's okay this time. That's okay this time because that's exactly what I wanted there. Okay, back to a little dark gray. I'm going to go ahead and finish up this up here. Yeah, it takes a little bit of a steady hand, but I've learned I do a better job if you don't think about it, overthink it, and then you go, oh, it doesn't work very good. You like that? Oh. I can do that again for you if you want. Anytime you get a chance to use some different colors with things and make them more interesting, take advantage of it. Because when you put them all together, your eyes mix them all together. And in this case, it's going to mix all these colors up in your mind to a kind of a brownish color. Let's see if that happens, see if you see that. But there's a lot of different colors in this right here. That came right off of the palette. It's not just black or brown, it's a mixture of oranges and reds and stuff like that. I think it makes it a whole lot more interesting and definitely a whole lot more fun to do. I love that raw sienna for a lot of things. I use it a lot of times with skin tone. The only problem you gotta watch, because it has a little more yellow in it, that when you mix it with, of course, blue, it tends to look a little bit too green. Um, but I kind of like that sometimes, especially if you're going from a red to this burnt sienna with a little blue in it. I like because it's a complement. You got basically this red going to this greenish color, and so it gives a nice, I think, a real pretty neutral. It's very unusual because you're mixing complements. And we know how everybody loves a good compliment. You're looking good, Irma. You're looking good. We got you looking good, Irma. Oh, it's starting to look a little bit like her. Taking on some similarities. I'm going to keep, kind of decided I'm going to keep this lighter than I normally do. Because I think it will play much better when it comes to the hat. In other words, if I go too dark, I'm going to have some problems here. Yeah, that's pretty close to the color I'm looking for right there. It's about it up there. And I'm going to just put a little, too early for that, but real below right there. There we go. Just want to get that little light spot. And I'm not going to put much more detail to the eye. I'm going to let the let see this. Yeah, that's there we go. That little line I put in there helped a lot. I probably didn't even notice what I did, but if you didn't, then I'm not telling you. You're supposed to be paying a little more closer attention than that. And I'm going to, I like that little brownish color tint for those glasses, and now's the time to give that to it. If I want to. There we go. That's getting it right there, and that comes over. Yeah. So what that did made a big difference. Just that little color right there, just a little bit. Oh, Irma, you're looking good. Irma, you're looking good, Irma. I'm going to put because there is a shadow across here. I'm going to be just a little bit, I'm going to use a little bit of that raw ember. See that? Just a little bit of that in there. I don't know if you can tell the difference. Well, you'll see what happens when I put it on here. If you don't like it, then I'll take it off, but let me know. But I kind of like that color it has. It's not too rich. And I see I got that part of the nose a little bit too dark. But we'll fix that. And that's that. See, it's got that burnt sienna. And then I'm going to, here a second here, I'm going to just bring in just a tone of color right there. Just a touch. We'll let that dry and see if it's something I'm going to like. Because I can always add some more to it, but I think I'm pretty close to what I want right there. Irma, you have to forgive me. I'm making you look younger than you are. Hope you don't mind. You let me know now if it's too, it's making you look too young. Okay? All right. A little bit of a neutral color here. Put that in place to remind me I need to do that. You know, the lips look just about, I'm not going to do much more of that. I kind of like them just about there. You can definitely overdo this stuff. You would know what I mean. The other one you got to watch for is this cheek. People, and I'm speaking because I know I am one. Get this a little bit too dark over here on this line. It doesn't take much to just suggest. See, it'll dry a little bit even lighter than that. But I'm going to bring that on down. It comes down. Suggestion. Fill that white in the area a little bit. A little up here. Give it just a little more texture. In here, there needs to be a little something that suggests that the lip has that little curvature there. If you guys can see that, I hope you can. So anyway, we're getting there, aren't we? Oh boy. The nose is right here. I think I got just paying a little bit too much attention to the photo. But I'm going to darken up this shadow right here just a little bit more. You can see it's there, but I haven't gone dark yet. If I'm real careful, I'll not do that. Okay. Yeah, that's good like that. And then there's this little. I'm just going to suggest it's there. So if I put a little paint here, just a little dab of orangey color, I'm just going to bring that, slide that down in here. Just slide it. And I think you'll be just about all I want to do. It is. That's just about all I want right there. And it did come up to a little bit. You'll dry a little bit lighter than that. This line is just a barely a little suggestion to it. But this will dry. Looks dark right now, but it'll dry a little lighter than that. And this part right here. And maybe just a touch here. I'm building things that suggest it, so your eyes, I love it when things are suggested, not just always just obviously painted, but are suggestions that make the eye think something there that's maybe not. So there's right here. I got a little flub up there I had to fix before I got too carried away. You probably didn't even notice it, but when I'm done with it, it'll drive me crazy. Again, these are just things that makes it interesting, makes the eye think it's there. And I'm not, I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't finish off these glasses. I know there's a little pencil line in there. It's kind of interesting the way, even without the pencil line, it makes you suggest it. I mean, your eyes just kind of connects all that together and makes you think it's there when I did not draw that in there, paint it in there. But the mind does crazy things to us. Tell me about it. And I'm going to just put some suggestions in there to know. And then the shadow is going to help me with the rest of it. So I'm going to get some neutral colors over here, along with some nice bright colors. Let's see if I can get that look. Because this ends up on a very dark, very light on this side. And I'm going to keep it light. So I do need to have some contrast over here to pick this up. Shifting colors a little bit. I'm going to go a little, time for a little blue in there. There we go. Which in this case will be just a little bit of gray. And the shadow needs just another layer. I'm going to put a little bit of that Rossian in there again. I am going to change it to be just a little bit rosier. Anyway, I'm kind of giving this my interpretation of I think what's going on over here. Anyway, that's kind of what I think. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think it's going on over there. What do you all think? What do you think so far? You know, don't Don't let everyone talk at once, okay? Okay, I kind of like that. Get down here. problem when you have dogs. They tend to carry a lot of hair around, and they end up wanting to share it with you. So I don't like what happened there, but we'll make the best of it. Catch that little hair. I'm going to kind of change the tones just a little bit to suggest it'll be subtle, but it'll be enough to Beautiful lady. Well, trying to get her looking beautiful. So, Irma, what do you look like today if you're online? Do you look like this today? That's just about the darkest it's going to go right there. That will be, it'll dry a little lighter than that. Always dries lighter. Now I'm going to start suggesting there's some various waves going in here. Yeah, this is kind of fun. This is kind of the art here, is getting this to actually look like they are waves. It's not always easy, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to get a little more skin color over here. I didn't mean there, but right along here before I forget. It goes just a little bit darker than that. Not much, but right along there. That looks real dark, but we'll tone that down pretty good. Soften it up a little bit. There we go. Sorry, just gotta give you a little bit of a wrinkle here. Sorry about that, Irma. But it's gotta be believable. There we go. There we go. Get that softened just a little bit, just enough to suggest it. You know what I mean? Okay. So you're not mad, Irma? Good. Irma, is that you? Does that start to look like you, Irma? Okay, step back and look at this and see if we have something that looks like her. I'm hoping it does. Okay, back 15 feet. That's always about 15 feet minimum when you're looking at a watercolor painting. Whatever you do, you go into a watercolor show, don't get up close to it and just, you know, get in its face. Allow, oh yeah, I like it. The, yeah, it's a couple of things I want to change there, but not much. I'll do it when it dries out. There on her left cheek around the mouth, there's a little too much, nothing, it's just too bland. See right in here? That doesn't look right there. I can fix that though later. And looks like there's a hint of a little more, what happened? Oh, sorry about that. Here we go. Anyway, so right there, maybe just just a touch darker under the nose will bring that out, and a little darker right there. But there needs to be a little more shape right in there. But that's pretty close to her expression as far as the lips. I'm going to lighten up this side just a little bit on that lip because there is some bounce light off there. But we're close. So anyway, it's 5 o'clock and I hope you had a good time. Be sure you hit the like, love, and unbelievable button. Oh, there's none of those buttons. Anyway, sure glad you hung in there and hope it was worth your time. And if you learned anything, let me know what you learned. If you didn't learn anything, well, that's your fault.